Welcome back to Potatoes. Ratan Kabidge coming at you again for another episode of Empyrion Galactic Survival. I believe this is episode 10. And today we're working towards our first Tier 2 CV. As we left off last episode, I was starting to craft the ingots required to make the CV. And I have made as many as I could, but I believe we're going to fall short. I'm going to have to get some more iron and go ahead and drop these in. I figured I would do that with you. See where we're at, and then we'll continue from there. Let's see. That's interesting. I thought I'd put it in the blueprint library. I guess perhaps I did not put it in the factory, which is what I meant just a moment ago. My bad. Let's see. Here it is, the graveyard CV to factory. Okay. Now we can drop it in. There we go. Go down through all this stuff, and I think we have enough of just about everything. Let's see. Except for the iron, as I said. I'll take the ladybug out and do some mining in between. Looks like I'm a little bit short on copper too. Do I have more copper ore? Yes, I do. So we can go ahead and make a few more of those. I want to say it was like 20. I think I just made 200 actually, but yeah, that's alright. Ingots get used quickly, so we don't mind having extras, certainly. There we go. That should be enough. Back in our factory and put these in place. There we go. So yes, I am short. Oh, so close. Almost exactly 1,000, huh? So I only need to do, what? I guess 100 crafts of them. So I will go ahead and do that. Bring you back in as we do it, but then I will wait off camera and likely continue mining as that goes. Now I believe we can... I'm not sure. Actually, I don't think... I was thinking I could make it as we fly within the HV, but I don't believe this one has a factory in it. In fact, I'm quite sure it doesn't. So we'll go ahead and juice this up, and I will be on my way, and I'll bring you back very soon. Okay, here we are back. As you can see, I harvested about 1,500 of the iron ore, so we now have enough to make the metal. I'll go ahead and start that up, and while that's going and we wait, I will say, as you can notice in the top, we are currently in version 6.1. They did have an update on Tuesday, actually, as I'm recording. This is actually on Wednesday night, the 14th. And they have already announced the next update for 6.1.1, which is due to be released tomorrow, the 15th. So it's likely by the time I finish up this episode, we may very well be on that version. Many of the bugs they have fixed, however, some of which are related to the plants. Last episode we witnessed some of that, and as you may recall, I posted some of that information for them. One of many, actually. I was not the only one that had posted similar issues. There was a little bit of confusion relating to the mining, however. As you recall what I had seen there, I actually made a separate video clip, very specific, showing the settings of the drill and the reactions on screen, which I posted as well, but that appeared only to confuse Humolo War. He did not understand quite what I was saying, but he asked me to send him the save file, which I was happy to do. However, the way their forums are set up, the save files, even maximum compression as a zip file, end up being about 19 megabytes. And their website cannot accept anything over 10 megabytes. So he said, okay, well, set up a shared cloud drive and give me the link. Well, that's not something I'm going to do. I have no use for that at this point, being that I've been retired for a dozen years now. Granted, a bit early due to some injuries. However, I found that just absolutely unheard of. But that's the way it is. It just, I was able to work beyond it, as you saw with the asteroids. It really wasn't critical to me. I was just offering information to help their diagnostics. But if they cannot receive the information they request directly, I do not feel guilty in not giving them that much information. So with that said, we'll wait a few minutes for that to finish, and I'll bring you back. Oh, I should also say that as I went out there with the ladybug, I decided to actually mine with the drill after all. That's why actually I have, as you can see in the drill, this one's a drill. I have no charges left, so I will make some of those as well as I think about it. But the reason for that is because you gain experience for mining with the drill, whereas you do not gain experience when you mine with a hover vessel. I don't think you gain experience with the capital vessel either. I'm not sure. I'll have to check that. But so that is why I use that method to get our iron that we needed. And I will likely do that when we're out getting our Arestrum and Zascosium as well, because as you can see, I am now close to level 22. Once we hit 25, of course, the need for level gains is no longer an issue, so it won't be a concern, but that does come fairly quickly, just in a matter of gameplay, assuming you do things in certain ways. Seems to me, my personal opinion is that you should be able to get experience consistently across all platforms if you're doing the same activity, such as mining, but that's their choice, and that's fine, certainly. We all work with what we have. And there we go. We now have the ingots needed, so we pop those over into there, and now we can start production. All told, by the time I'm done with all the reducing things I put in there, I still have an hour and 40 minutes to go, which is the primary reason I do not believe this episode will be done before they roll out the next update. I will sit here and harvest my plants over in the other room as I am waiting for the construction to complete. Then we can place the CV down, put our 2 vehicles on, and be on our way to Adis. Now, I will also continue to say that another addition with the 6.1 update was a few new spotlight blocks. For one, capital vessels now get a spotlight cube. Unlock. And also an angled spotlight, or a slope spotlight, which I believe they've done that for all the vehicles. Actually, let's see. Yep, sure enough. Apparently the slope spotlight is shared, it would appear. The other thing that I made, as you can see in the... First of all, I made the advanced constructor. I was still using the large, silly me. But with that, I can create the furnace, which should be crafting. Yeah, there we go. Little bug there. It doesn't always show exactly the progress. Put this stuff back in there. But I decided I can place a furnace down on the ground, so when we are making the ingots for our next vessel, we will be able to make them much faster, because the craft time for a furnace is roughly half the size, or half the time, I should say, of the time required in the large and advanced constructors, because that is all that it is for. I thought it was a level 25 unlock. I believe it was during at least the early experimental. I'm not sure when that was changed, but I have noticed here in the skill tree, rather here in the skill tree under the base, that it is now unlockable at level 20. Let's see, where is it? Here it is, down here. So, the next time around, we'll use the furnace for that. Let's see. If we point at here and go to connect and see. Where is the connect to? Oh, there it is up top. I thought that was at the bottom. I guess it's at the top, which is okay, because now I can put it over here a little further away, because these things throw off an incredible amount of heat, even when they're powered off or not in use. See if I can get, I guess I put it in backwards, but towards one side or the other. Okay, touche. It appears they may have resolved that issue, but in here we can make the ingots much faster, so we now have capability to do that as time progresses. So here in front of us is one of the angled lights. I find it interesting because it actually is a diagonal, but being that it does still hold the block, it leaves a gap the way I have these glass panels in front of it. So there is no way really to close that gap. Perhaps I can just get rid of those, but I think I'll leave them there because they do offer a little additional protection before the light goes out. But with that said, let's get in and power her up and see how it actually does work. Let's get the external view, but wow, that's a huge upgrade, isn't it? Look at that. Boy, we can see trees and everything. The other, of course, is only to the front, but they have also increased the radius and distance. I thought for all, but the straightforward spotlights, I did not notice a difference. I did power the ship up, actually, before I brought you in. So, I don't know, perhaps some redesign in some of my other alterations is in order. But I would imagine, with that said, that they will likely also increase the strength and radius of the straight light lock in the near future. Now, I also decided to come up and check the moon while I was waiting to see if that is resolved. That I do see that there is actually a minor bug with the spotlight. As you can see in the center of the ship, just above the center engine, there is a gleaming light, and as we move around the ship you can see that it appears to show through everything at all times. Tempted to leave a video for them to let them know, but it obviously would not get in for tomorrow's update, so I think I will just wait until 6.11 and see what occurs, since the 6.1 thread will likely close at that time. And the verdict, even after 6.1, we are gaining no resources as I harvest on the moon still. So as far as I'm concerned, this is still just a big rock in space. Oh well. Elsewhere to get our saphium, I guess, huh? Now, I also decided to swing by the farm that we were at in the last episode. And, as you can see, all the plants are dead now, so that at least is consistent. That was another of the bugs, which they fixed, which I may have mentioned a moment ago. I can't recall, to be honest with you. But since we were here on the move, I decided I can go through and see what kind of loot we might be able to pull out of this base, because it is a freely harvestable area. With a little luck, maybe we'll get some upgrade kits for weapons and the like. I have not received many of those. I got the pistol from the large residential complex I own, so I do have that weapon, but the rest I have not received as yet. See what we can find. Just kind of bringing you in so you can see what we loot. This is among one of the more enjoyable parts of raiding bases, of course. Getting the goodies. It's part of what it's all about, at least. There's a restroom, at least. Though that really will not be an issue, because we'll be getting a lot of a restroom when we do our ATIS run. Which, since I'm babbling about other topics, is likely going to be in the next episode. We'll see how it goes. I'll definitely have the ship down, but I may not actually leave the planet today. Power coil. I need more room, though, don't I? Back over to the ship. And pee and cargo box and dump the stuff in. Didn't exactly have an empty inventory after all, because I have a bunch of other stuff half process for the capital vessel that we're still waiting to complete. Kind of been puttering around on and off. If we open up the factory, let's see. Yeah, we're down to 45 minutes now, so roughly half the time has elapsed since the start. In real world time, of course. More restroom, neodymium. Let's see, I think it was up here, right? I needed more room. Actually kind of low on food as well, so I cannot stay here too long. But, with that said, I do believe in the main room over here, there is actually a number of refrigerators that have food in it. We'll take a look. See what there is in here. More ingots. And resources. And here's some food. So I guess, yeah, like I said, that's not an issue, is it? Go ahead and eat those up right now. Top off my food bar. And more food. And more food. My refrigerator's going to be pretty full on the ride back, isn't it? In fact, we might have more than we can store in there. Let's see, 420, so we can bring it up to 480. And I need 2 more spaces to get those. Run, run, run. Okay, we'll throw the food in the fridge. And the rest in a cargo box. Go. Dump, dump, dump. Always like resources. That is something you'll certainly discover about me if we can get this game continue long enough, and I do tend to be a pack rat. That's why I make my vessels with so much storage, because I take everything wherever I go, pretty much, and often end up with huge surpluses. Those who have actually gamed with me in games such as EverQuest and Arcade was another. I was always notorious for having everything anybody needed, because I would spend such a large percentage of my time harvesting. Let's see, I know there's stuff in this fridge, more food. And stuff here sometimes is edible food. And there is some. Which is the other thing which apparently has still been occurring. We have not witnessed that ourselves in this playthrough. However, I have seen others post that the food bug had not been removed. If I had destroyed the core, all the food that was in this cabinet would immediately turn into spoiled food even though it still had its full duration remaining on it. Simply because that's the way the POIs works. It's at 24 actually, so I think they start at 25 if I'm not mistaken. But we've been on the planet for a little bit of time, of course. Ability boosts. And I think finally there's a little bit of stuff in the bathroom. Yep. And the core, of course, is actually behind here. If I were to blow up the toilet, it's actually behind there, but at this point I have no need. May return at a later date. Replace the core so I can take the blocks. I do prefer the blocks over the components, because when you are building vessels and things like that in the factory, it actually reduces additional time if it's a full block over the components. And our final CV, of course, oops, the wrong way, rat. Our final CV that we will be making is like 50,000 ingots, so that's quite a few required to make. And likewise, the base that I showed you guys in episode 6, maybe? The corpse, my space base, that requires like 60,000 stone, so after that, it's just a matter of store, but then there are a lot of smaller vehicles, small vessels, hover vessels, etc., that I will be making for the final fleet as well, which can make good use of the time reducers. And upon hitting the space border, just thought I'd mention as well that that farm is actually the only base I'm going to be concerned about for the moment on the moon. The only other bases that were present were 2 of the outpost turrets, number 3, I forget their exact call, as well as the drone base. So those, I'm a little underpowered for those as yet, but once we get our capital vessel, we'll be able to storm those without too much of a problem. Let's see, what am I doing? Map. Akua. Waypoint. Take Akua Moon off so I don't confuse myself. And follow that on the way home. Very good. The ship has completed. As you can see, I've made a bunch of bullets and ammunition and such. Take some oxygen with us too and go outside and spawn. Don't know how much oxygen capacity it actually has, but that should be enough for now. I have decided that we will definitely make ATIS on the next episode. I think what we can do with the remaining time for today is hit one of the local POIs here on Akua. Take the capital vessel perhaps over in one of the villages or something along those lines. Don't want to get into one of the larger ones such as the mine, because that too will take quite a while. I do try to keep my episodes generally around 30 to 45 minutes is my target, but sometimes it runs over, sometimes it's a little short. But being that it's nighttime, I think I will just wait a little while longer before I spawn it so we can see what we're doing, and then we'll drop it in place. So here we are midday actually on the next day. I did decide to make a few cores to bring with us. Don't leave home without them. It's kind of like the MasterCard. But, just coming down here to the shoreline, so I'm thinking there will be a bit more open area down here to place it. Kind of tricky at times if you actually spawn a capital vessel above a forest when it falls down. Okay, you. I see you. Bad dinosaur. Okay. Anyway, with that said, do I even have room for that? No, not really, but I can put it on my hotbar for now. Because I'm full of other stuff. Anyway, as I was saying, if you spawn a capital vessel above the trees, it will actually settle on the trees, and it's kind of hard to get up there sometimes, so I'd very much prefer to do it here out in the open. Let's see. See one more raptor there. Is that a night raptor? Or I guess it was, because the turret on my base just took him out. Different. Wonder why it didn't shoot the first one. But that's okay. It's nice to know we're still in range of the base at least. But now, there's a fairly open area. There's a plant man over there too. Base isn't shooting him, so I'll go over and shoot his behind. Because he too is experience. We're very close to level 2. We're very close to get our level, rather. I think it's 22 actually we're close to. And I'm not going to be able to loot him, you moron. Which is okay, because I have plenty of spoiled food. Okay. Try this again. Huh, there's another one over there. At any rate, open F2 and take the graveyard and spawn. Put as close to the ground as I can. I think they do hover for a little bit, and I would prefer to jump in. And I guess it does fall right down. Alright. Run around the front of this guy, because the only way to get inside this particular ship is literally through the belly of the beast. Hop up on here. Now we can hit the P key, and we'll put some oxygen in it and some fuel in it, and we will go to the cargo boxes and dumps. Actually, that's not what I want, is it? I want the ammunition boxes. And as you see, I do split them up for different types of ammunition, as well as all the resources and such. I didn't make enough to fill them all, but it's enough to suffice for the moment. It will get us capable enough to go take out a civilian POI. The villages do not have any defensive weapons. However, they do have some nasty critters in them. So this will certainly have plenty of firepower to take those out. I may need to manually get in a turret in order to shoot the spawners. I am not certain if they are automatically targeted, because they are not one of the things that's on the list, of course. Okay, let's see. Now if I turn the oxygen on in this guy, did I put enough oxygen in it, or do I need to get more? And let's see. Oxygen on. And yes. Very good. Oh yeah. Almost forgot. Wrong key, rat. Wrong key again, rat. P key. There we go. I can also fill the warp drive. Should free up a space, because I had a little more than a stack. But now we'll go ahead up to our cockpit and head over towards the POI. And good. I'm glad the plants are still alive. I was concerned when I saw that the oxygen was switched off that they had died, but it looks like everything in here has survived, I think. Yes. Not all of it's full grown apparently in this blueprint, but it's all there. Okay, that's good to see. Very well. And as you can see, some of the alterations, I had done this, which I believe I showed in a previous episode. I'm not sure, but I did put the additional medic stations in here. It does have a advanced constructor. And then up here towards the front cockpit, I've altered this as well, so we have the other facilities, the couch and restroom, shower, and armor station. So we will be able to do that while we're on the road, so to speak. I suppose ships aren't technically on a road, are they? But that's alright. And let's go into the P. And movement is on already. Ground one, we can turn off space weapons for now. We don't need the drill on for now. Don't need constructors on for now. Don't need repairs on. Okay, looks good. We'll get ourselves around behind, rise above, and find the target waypoint. Village, that away. So here we are on our final approach to the village. Just sped through that other section, but you may have noticed partway through there, I actually entered the item menu because I had forgotten that it does reset all the turret settings. So I wanted to turn off things like the core as well as the generators. I would just as soon harvest those. The core is not bad, but I would rather do that manually myself as opposed to letting the ship do it, because it will drill through multiple layers of stuff. Now the turrets are not firing at the moment, so that suggests to me that the nasty critters have not yet spawned, perhaps because I am still in the ship. But being that it is now dark here, I will wait another moment and come back in, and we will take out the spawners from a turret and then go find out what loot we can get here. Occurs to me too, while I'm waiting, I had mentioned a moment ago that I do get very specific with my group, so I'll just go through those briefly. Some of the stuff is obvious. These are the unassigned cargo boxes, basically toss stuff in it as I loot. But I always create a group as well for resources, which you see down here. Came all caps for some reason, I'm not sure why there, but each of these is a cargo box on the ship. But as you can see, I have one for each of the resources, with a couple additional for things like oxygen and the stone, because those tend to be a bit more overabundant than the others. Of course, I break up the space weapons and the ground weapons separately, primarily because that allows us to make a quick group up here to turn them on and off. The same goes for the constructors. The constructor as well as the food processor are both in that group. Daylight is coming, so I will continue to wait and then bring you back in a moment. Here we go, and daylight has arrived. I may have mentioned this already. It's getting later, admitted, so I'm starting to space out on what I have done on camera and off camera. But I have filled out everything I possibly can up through level 20. I'm actually a few points short still on a couple of the larger small vessel engines, which is okay for the moment. But at this point I will simply wait until we are 25 to get the rest. I can tell you that in the past you had to be a bit selective because there were actually more options to spend points than you got points by the time you were max level. But that was in Alpha 5 I'm speaking, with level 20. So I don't know if they have adjusted them so it will match and you can fill everything out or not. There were a few things that I decided to skip temporarily, such as the passenger seats, as well as the offline protection, because in single player we do not need those. Did I do the... Guess I did click the offline protection. Oops. Well, that could have been another weapon instead, but that's okay. Nonetheless, let's go into our control panel. I will use a cannon to take out the spawners down below before I get out. The majority of the aliens at the village are non-hostile. However, the little things that bark like dogs kind of are not very nice. They will attack, so I would just as soon take those out. I'm using the cannon because that is much more economical on the bullets than the miniguns are. Of course, I can't quite get to that arc, I don't think. Yeah, I'm going to miss that. So, what do we need to do? Pull forward a little bit, I guess. Oh, we'll exit this. Go forward just a tad. And go back to the same turret. Guess I should have gone back. Kind of funny, but... So, try that again. We'll get this centered sooner or later so I can take this stuff out from the safety of my capital vessel. Then I can go down there and soak up the goodies. Let's see. P... Access... Exit... Okay, where is it? There it is. Okay. Of course, I went back too far now, didn't I? I think we can hit him, though. If I can aim. It's very sensitive aim, though. Go. There's one spawner. Not sure if that's a spawner or something else, but whatever it is, it's not going to last long. Must not be a spawner because it didn't blow up with the same amount of shots. I want to say there's 4 spawners in this base, but I'm not 100% sure that that is still the case. Wonder if that's out of range, maybe? Well then, let's try it from another angle. Probably try see if I can figure out which of these guns is on the back. That is one thing I did not do, is note specifically where each gun was. This one happens to be on top. Oops, just keep us level. Keeping us level uses less fuel, so keep level whenever possible when you're just hovering on a planet. Okay, wrong one. Let's try this one. It is on the top as well. No, one of them is on the bottom and the back. Naturally, it's the last one in the list. Okay, there we go. Easy shot at the spawner from this angle. Even though I can't see well enough to hit the darn thing, but there we go. I believe that's the last one. I see no more. Actually, I'm glad I didn't blow that other thing up because it looks like it was actually a cargo container, isn't it? Very good. Back us off to the beach. And put her down. Not exactly flat land, but good enough. Actually, no, because I know I'm going to be falling over my own feet at that angle. So I think I'll move us over a little bit. And then we'll shut our engines off because they do chew up a lot of power, of course. I will, however, keep the turrets on, just in the event there are some incoming drones or beasties, things of that nature. And shut off the movement group. There we go. Let's go see what we can see. And here's the main entrance. As you can see, we are actually parked over there, but just ran that off camera to save a little time, because I know we are starting to get a little close. Keep my eyes open because I am not certain how many of the nasties there may be in the base. Which I might as well harvest the plants as well, because those two are experience. I will return likely between episodes and break this entire base down and make use of the blocks elsewhere, as I have done in previous seasons. I burn things right down to the ground, so there's not a single block left. It's just the pack rat style, as it were. And I haven't seen any critters as yet, so it is quite possible that I did actually take out all the spawners. As we go. I know I saw some loot containers in here. Where were they? Let's see. Oh, there's one in that building, I see. I'll go up there before I lose track of where we are in relation to it. Hopefully we get some goodies. There's some stuff. Like the emergency ration, those are always great to have. Let's see. Where else? Where else? There's the yellow one up there. Let's see, this one is empty. Yellow is more betterer than white. That's the mid-range loot chest for the POIs, of course. I have actually gotten some of the mining cores from these before, but not this time, unfortunately. But there is some restaurant, at least. Be helpful, might allow us to make our second tier 3 miner. I made as many as I could with what I had, which was 1. Of course, they give us a total of 5 of the auto miner cores at the beginning of the game now, so which is actually 1 shy of harvesting every resource on the starter planets. So in order to get one of those going on each resource, it is basically required to at least get 1 from one of the POIs. I can hear the generators underneath here. It is a different layout, but I imagine the core is likely under there. I am not going to kill it quite yet, however, because again, I would like the plants to continue growing. You know, if I redo the core, I'm not certain if those will die instantaneously or not. They have stated that they have fixed the plant growing issues, as I believe I mentioned earlier in this episode. But that said, I would rather see it first before I trust that. Okay. There's usually 3 loot containers. I only seem to have found 2. So this particular one may only have 2. I am not precisely certain exactly what this base has inside it. See anything anywhere? Oops. Ouch. Well, I guess that's all there was. C'est la vie. I know there were more. Yeah, here's more plants. Did I already go by these and miss them, I wonder? Or is this the end of the loop? If it is the end of the loop, then I haven't been in these buildings as yet. Ah, there we go. I guess that's the case, because here's the third core. Nope. I did loot that one. I must have missed the plants. Surprise! Not. Very good. Anything else in here? I think that's it for a quick loot of a civilian POI. Now when I do return later and do this on my own, I will likely have to take the spawners out, since I did leave the core in with the new regenerative points of interest. I expect those will likely repair themselves and reappear. What I am not certain of is whether or not the loot also respawns. So we can use that as an experiment. I'll leave the marker on it. Actually, I need to make it again because I had it remove on arrival, but we will come back to this POI in the future after we make our off-world trip to Adis and see if we can get additional loot from those containers or not. Now I'll head us back. Oops, swung right wet. Now I will bring us back to the base, and I'll see you there. Yeah, it's dark at the base. Go figure, so I can't see squat. So I will simply hover here until daybreak and chop down a few trees and make a place a little closer to the base for the vessel. It's probably the way to go. It's hard to say. I don't know. What I do know, though, is I'm okay. It's the world that's wrong. It's just a matter of perspective. I thank you very much for watching, and take care.